Hi guys, and welcome back to class. So for today's lesson, we're going to start off by synthesizing evidence. So I want you to fill in the blank. According to, and you're going to pick a character's name from up here. So let's say according to Lysander, love is an experience that is blank and blank. What would Lysander say that love is an experience that is blank or blank? Or if you pick Aegeus, what would he say that love is? What would Hermia say? What would Theseus say? Then, once you have explained what you think that character would say about the experience of love, I want you to take one direct quote from the text to back up your claim about your character and share in the discussion board on Schoology. So moving on, let's have a look at the focusing question. It says, what defines the experience of love? You have your content framing question, which we are in our organized stage, says what's happening with the fairies in Act 2, Scene 1. And for our examine stage, why is the structure of an argument important? And why is listening for a speaker's logic important? So in order for us to be able to answer these questions, let's go ahead and get started with today's lesson more in depth. So we're going to be collecting evidence that defines love. So will the evidence show that the experience of love is universally the same? Is love going to be the same for everyone? Let's see. So now I want you guys to, in your journals, and for those of you who are online, I will create an anchor chart, virtual anchor chart for you all that will be labeled the experience of love. Now in this lesson, you're going to focus on the introduction of the fairies. You're going to explore the experience of love that surfaced in the beginning of Act 2. So let's look at Act 1, Scene 2. What did you guys notice and wonder about the characters in Act 1, Scene 2? These characters are often referred to as the mechanicals because of their various professions. What is the effect of having the mechanicals put on a romantic play like Primus and Thisbe? So let's think about this. Mechanicals can be thought of as kind of a commentary on the larger action of a play. How does this scene relate to the larger action of the play? Now, let's analyze a character's description and role. When you read scenes involving the mechanicals, you need to stop and consider what role that scene has in relation to the larger play as a whole. The mechanicals are very funny, so they're very funny characters, but they also have some interesting perspectives on the larger action or what's happening all throughout the play. But they are very funny. So you have to pay attention to what the mechanicals are saying and doing, because they're going to help you better understand the overall effect, themes, ideas. So now I want us to analyze the character's description and their role. So online, I will assign each of you all based off of your beginning letter of your first name. So I'll put that in the instructions for you guys online. And so basically, some of you will have lines 33 through 43, and some of you will have lines 44 through 60. And I'll let you guys know which one of these lines you're going to be responsible for online. When you look at those lines, you're going to annotate for descriptions of Robin. So in other words, how do they describe him? What type of character is he? Then using the glossary, which is on the side, and a dictionary, I want you to paraphrase or put in your own words what the descriptions of Robin's behavior tell you about him. So now let's look at handout 6A. It says complete the following chart with the evidence and information that most strongly describes the character. So you're going to pick your character and then give 2 important quotes that mostly describe that character. And then give me 3 descriptive adjectives. They can be direct quotes or inferences based on evidence. So how would you describe that character? You're going to put your word in the center that you think mostly describes your character. And then tell me the role and relationships that that character encounters or has. And 2 sentences that summarize who the person is or what they're about, what type of person that they are. Then I want you to reread aloud lines 41 through 42. Now, look at these names. We've got Puck, Hobgoblin, and Robin Goodfellow. These are all different names for legendary characters inside of English folklore. And English folklore is like text that was written back in the day. All of these characters were well known and they were mischievous. They were very like sneaky. And they were very powerful and supernatural creatures. They were also sometimes described as evil. So I want you guys to look at the image on page 58. This is a picture or depiction of Robin Goodfellow from a book that was published in 1639. Now, according to the English dictionary, the origin of the name Puck is unsettled, means that that person is unsettled. So now that you know something about Robin, he's supposed to be considered like a supernatural creature who may be like kind of evil or mischievous or up to no good. How does Shakespeare's allusion to this figure, this legendary figure, this mischievous character, affect the meaning of the character's appearance at the opening of Act 2? So based off of how he looks and what we know about what that character is supposed to be, that we know that that character is supposed to be mischievous, how does that affect the meaning of that character at the beginning of Act 2? How does it set the tone for that scene? So let's reread aloud lines 18 through 32. And I want you to ask yourself, what problem does Robin identify in this passage? What problem is happening? What's taking place? What's the conflict? So now we're going to start examining characters in conflict, when they're having troubles, when they're having issues. So let's read aloud lines 62 through 150, which begin with the entrance of Oberon and Titania. Now, reread lines 62 through 78. How would you describe Oberon and Titania's feelings about each other? How do they feel about one another based off of these page numbers? Then I want you to reread lines 121 through 142. Why are Oberon and Titania quarreling? And then read lines 1 through 150 and collaborate to complete the quotations, adjectives, and roles and relationships section of the handout. Complete the last section of both handouts, writing a 2-sentence summary to describe Oberon and 2-sentence summary to describe Titania. Then at the bottom, write a 1-sentence response to the question, from the perspective of the character, what is the problem that causes the couple to fight and split apart? Now let's look at examining an argument structure. When you are going to create a claim, you have to have evidence in order to back up your claim. So we're going to use this mnemonic device called CREE. So first, C, you need to have an evidence-based claim, which means you need to state your claim about the topic. What do you believe about whatever your topic is? Why do you believe that? So state a reason that supports your claim. Then give me evidence as to why I should agree with that, and then elaborate. Now listen for speaker's logic. How do the four pieces of the CREE mnemonic work together? When an argument has all the necessary pieces, guys, when you make a strong argument, those pieces work together to form a convincing argument, meaning if I have enough evidence, accurate evidence, and I explain and I elaborate, just like I told you, if I have a claim and I have a reason why I believe that claim, and I have sufficient evidence, really good necessary content to back up my claim, and an elaboration, then no one can tell me that my argument isn't logical. Logic is a way to describe how the pieces of an argument work together to form the whole. Why do you think logic is important in writing, speaking, and listening? Why is logic important in writing, speaking, and listening? Now to finish this lesson, for our content framing question, we are in our organized stage. What's happening with the fairies in Act 2, Scene 1? Now, based off of what you've learned about Robin Goodfellow, what is the effect of introducing him before Titania and Aberion? And how does his character set the scene for the fairies' conflict? For tonight's homework, I want you guys to reread or read Act 2, Scene 1, lines 151 through 194, and annotate for what it is that you notice and wonder that's happening in this section. Now on to our vocabulary deep dive. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Have you ever misused a word? Have you ever used a word and that wasn't really what it was meant to be used for? What happened because of this mix-up? So if you were talking to someone and you misused a word, did they understand you? Did it make sense to them? Did they laugh? Why might an author make a character misuse a word? In literature, when someone misspeaks by using a word that sounds similar to the correct word, but whose meaning is inappropriate, it is called malparism. This literary technique is often used to create humor, and usually they're doing it at the character's expense. So they're usually doing it to make the character look stupid or dumb, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. So now I want you guys to look at Act 1, Scene 2, lines 76 through 80. And I want you to underline the word aggravate. Read aloud those lines, and when you hear a clue that you think may help you understand what the word aggravate means, underline it. Now I want you to look at your glossary. The word aggravate actually means to make worse or to annoy. Now in this instance, the glossary not only makes the correction for Bottom's malparism, but it also gives us the definition of the correct word. Now, what could we have done if the glossary did not provide us this definition? Is Bottom's mistake funny? If so, why? So he misused the word aggravate. Was it funny? Now I want you to look at the word obscenely. Predict what you think the word obscenely means. Give me the literary definition of it, the intended word and definition, and whether it was humorous and why. You're going to find this in Act 1, Scene 2, lines 103 through 105, using context clues to predict the meaning of the word obscenely. Then use your dictionaries to see if that is the correct word and explain how the mix-up was humorous. And to end today's lesson, I just want to ask you guys, has the glossary been useful? Why or why not? The definitions that are on the side, have they been useful to you in order to help you understand the text? All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's lesson. If you guys need any help, once again, I will be in office hours between 11:22 to 12:06. See you guys then if you need help, Monday through Friday. Have a good day.